nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. Yes, I've made mistakes and I've made my change. There's nothing left to do. There's nothing left to do. So I'm giving you the best of me. I'm giving you the best of me. I'm giving you the best of me. I'm giving you the best. I'm giving you the best of me. I'm giving you the best of me. I'm giving you the best of me. I'm giving you the best. When tomorrow comes and my race is done, there's no one else but you. There's no one else but you. Start all over again. I know you'll be my friend. Yes, I know it's true. There's nothing left to do. So I'm giving you the best of me. I'm giving you the best of me. I'm giving you the best of me. I'm giving you the best. I'm giving you the best of me. I'm giving you the best of me. I'm giving you the best of me. I'm giving you the best.
And I shine for all. But I hear some people work. You never shine tall.
These roads of flames are catching a fire. Showed you I love you, you called me a liar. Oh no, 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 no. Baby, tell me where you gone. I've been feeling for your love so long. We can praise God in the moonlight. Baby, if you with me, better do right. And I've been gone too long, and I'm hoping that you sing my song. I've been on this road for way too long. I've been hoping that we all get along. These roads of flames are catching a fire.
It is a beautiful morning right here on the revolutionary station Nationwide 90 FM. And it's Saturday, people. It's Saturday. Oh my God. It has been a time, Rose. A long time listening without it.
Such a long time.
Oh.
Yeah. People probably wonder who you be.
It's been a long time coming. Good morning, Jamaica. Good morning, world. Of course, it is the Talk Up Youth Radio Show right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the number one youth radio show in Jamaica. We dare to say the word at large for sure, right? We're bad like that. But of course, this morning, if you are listening to us on the 90.3, 90.5, 90.7, 90.9 FM band, Digiplay or Flow, we are glad to have you this morning. And of course, you listen to the voice of Nicholas Williamson.
You know, I get out of standing
No,
boss.
okay, that's 90. The legendary out and standing boss, one and only Nicholas Williamson.
And yes, true, the engineer boss, Damian Rose.
Oh my God. You see, you can't have a little boss, don't
Yeah.
you? At the back of things.
Can't leave it out.
Can't leave it out at all. Again, good morning, everybody. And of course, when you hear us, you're all about bringing the youthful perspective to the forefront of our conversation. And of course, this is the Talk Up Youth Radio Show. Talk Up Youth, Mississippi.
Talk up you every time.
Every time, right? And today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, will be all about environment conservation or preservation in that regard. And of course, a quote that goes out today really states that the environment and the economy are really both two sides of the same coin. If we cannot sustain the environment, we cannot sustain ourselves, which is absolutely true. Right? We really can't sustain ourselves, we really can't sustain the environment. And that was said by Wangari Maathai. Oh Lord, sorry for butchering that person's name, but it's still profound. The statement is still profound, right, Rose?
Definitely.
And coming up in the show today, what's going to happen?
Well, in our What's Your Use segment, we will be talking about sustainable development. As you said, we're going to be focusing on the environment and, how we can prosper and maybe grow and develop as a nation.
Okay.
While, preserving and keeping that sense of nature for our younger ones in the future, as we go along. So that will be the first segment.
Yeah, that's for sure. So essentially, we're going to ask the question out to you all today. Have you ever participated in a cleanup project?
Anything
at all, you know what I'm with. All right, so we'll be exploring just how crucial it is about to bring about change in that regard. To join us for that discussion as we talk about preserving our community and our environment just the very same. And in our Youth for Chat segment, of course, we are going to talk to some brilliant individuals, brilliant folks for sure, who are really making change and shifts in the space for young people overall. Today, they'll be joined in conversation as we explore the initiatives aimed at preserving Jamaica's natural resources and biodiversity, and the balance between economic development and environmental sustainability. Joining in our conversation today is Mr. Dane Brooks, 2024 Prime Minister Youth Awardee and CARICOM Youth Ambassador, among other things, a long
long episode.
Right, and coming up also, Rose.
Coming up also later in the show, we'll talk to Noel Louis, project coordinator of the UN Model Club, and Gabriel Bryan, former Manchester High School United Nations Youth and Student Club president and United Nations Association of Jamaica leader trainer, who will speak to us about the importance of the environmental education and public awareness.
Right. So we have a lot of things happening in store for today.
Yes, you can say.
Right. So we have brilliant people coming on. We have a lot of things to talk about, and of course, we're going to recognize some of the things that have been happening throughout the week. Teachers' Day, Mother's Day tomorrow, and many more things that's going to be happening in the show today. So we're here until 1 p.m. Listen to Talk Up Youth Radio Show here or online at nationwideradiojm.com, or get the Nationwide app in your relevant app store. You can also watch us on YouTube. YouTube will big up on yourself all the time.
Yeah, every time.
YouTube, big up on yourself, big up on yourself, big up on yourself at Nationwide 90 FM. Keep it locked and loaded to this station, a station that you can trust. And we're going to switch over to a break. People, this is Talk Up With You. This is Talk Up
Youth.
This is the Talk Up Youth Radio Show, a youth-led Talk Up Youth production. Stay tuned for more Talk Up Youth. Myself,
Talk Up Youth.
We'll soon come.
From the ground, tell them not to sell it, it's worth more than gold. And guiltiness will catch them in the end. Oh yeah. They'll try to manipulate you through your pockets.
Good health starts with proper hydration. Hydrate your body with Hydrate. Hydrate is purified natural water from rocks 110 feet below the ground. You have never tasted water so great, yet so affordable. Yes, taste and experience it for yourself. Water at its best. Hydrate. Available also as purified alkaline water and ultra-purified distilled water. Bottled by LLNSCS Limited, a subsidiary of Max Pharmaceuticals. Call 876-983-6466.
Watch for Shelley Fraser Price.
I stay locked to the Olympics because, of course, I'm Jamaican. What you mean?
Me, I have to tune into the Olympics, man. Because I'm always busy, but what? I have to know when Sherika Jackson beat Shakari.
Brother, I have to have every notification for the Olympics. I want to hear every run.
Now Sherika Jackson coming
every jump.
Oh, that is absolutely huge of Wade Pinkham.
Every fling, live.
So, take us then.
Nothing can miss me.
We're always on the move.
So while we're driving, run, Elaine, run.
Jogging. Yes. Run, Watson. Win again.
Watson is now a world champion.
Or even at work.
Quick, the race has started.
We can't miss a beat because we keep it locked
to the only station
for the Paris Olympics.
Nationwide.
90
FM.
Nationwide 90.1, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7 and 90.9, and on YouTube at Nationwide 90 FM Live. Nationwide, the new revolution in media.
The herb is free. Babylon is not free. They just can't stand to see this little tree.
When you smoke
ready.
All right, welcome back to the Talk with Radio Show right here on Nationwide 90 FM. You listened to the song a while ago.
Keep the trees and let them breathe.
What the song say, David?
Let them be.
Yeah, let them
definitely.
be. Okay, leave the
Definitely.
trees and let them
Sticking
be.
in with the theme for the show today.
Right, for sure. All right, so we're going to talk about sustainable development for sure, and we're going to go into our What's a You segment. So, as we said before, we're going to talk about a little bit surrounding the topic of environmental preservation and conservation.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some brilliant guests coming to talk to us today. Before we get into that, we're going to really educate you a little bit on really
SDGs.
what is sustainable development. So, sustainable development refers to a mode of progress that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so essentially, it's saying, how would I put it?
How can we benefit from what we have?
Right, while preserving it or making it better for the generations to
leaving
come.
a legacy for those able to use it.
So in a
the
way,
long run.
do not damage the place, because
You know.
at the end of the day, if people pick them, are going to use it. And
You're going to get some new decks in the cars and teachers say, don't bother mash it up now.
Yeah, that's
people
a
that underneath
perfect
come and use it too.
Yeah, for
Perfect
sure.
example.
Right, so in looking at that, it really allows for us to have a future. So I often hear persons say the earth really is not for our grand or us currently in the moment.
It's for those who are
it's
after
for
us.
those who are coming after us, and we ought to preserve it as such, for sure. So our question out today, for sure, is: have you ever participated in a cleanup project before, Rose?
I've done a beach cleanup.
What was that like?
It was an experience. Say the least.
Come tell me about the experience. What was the experience like?
Well, there's this sense of joy and profoundness coming to know that, okay, I'm giving back to the community, giving back to nature. I think it was for Red Cross I was doing it with at that point.
Okay.
And, Red Cross always teaches you not to expect a thank you, but just to do it out of your own heart and for the good of yourself. And I feel like doing that, and as we just said about sustainable development, having that mindset that, okay, those that are coming after us will be able to, benefit from this beach. Because when you really see that difference, the before and the after pictures that we took, so you're like, whoa.
Whoa, indeed.
If all of us really came together and, did more things like this, we'd be better off.
Like, I'm shocked for some reason by the amount of garbage I encounter on a cleanup project. And I was like, oh my God, people really do them thing here.
Yeah.
Like, I see garbage here and there and all about, and I'm like, oh my God. So it's really shocking to me. And by the time we're finished, as you said, it gives you that sense of, I don't even know the word to put on it, but it just gives you that feeling to say, wow, you would have contributed to making the world a better place and cleaner, right? You always hear the song, keep the island clean, so clean. Yeah, Jamaica, it's a big thing.
Don't do it.
It's a big thing. And of course, as we're talking about sustainable development, the question that we have here for discussion is, should we as the younger generation even care about sustainable development?
Whoa. And that's when I think most people probably sit on and be like, well, I'm just 18. Like, my actions don't really affect the world at large in any way, shape, or form. Like, why should I really even care? But I feel like if we come together with a unified mindset, every mickle make a muckle, we can kind of really push the agenda of a new difference in Jamaica when it comes to garbage disposal. As you said, with a bunch of garbage, when it comes to how we treat and care for our environment, the principles that we set in place for the younger people after us. Because, monkey see, monkey do.
Exactly.
So if you see me using the recycle bin, you're going to use it too. Like, we can set an example for those who are after us. So I feel like us as the younger generation needs to be that change, to be that new driving factor.
Exactly.
For Jamaica to be a better and cleaner Jamaica.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like it is a big thing because seeing all it happening, climate change, global warming, all of these things happening, just the whole air pollution and everything that comes in that regard that can affect us as a people, in whether it be now or in the future, it all counts for something, I'd say. And our contribution to it is sometimes, I'd say, one of the biggest factors.
Definitely.
And if it is that we don't really take the necessary precautions or caution in doing certain things, even lighting a fire, man. Yeah. Damaging the ozone layer. Stuff like that.
Mr. Biology. Mr. Biology.
A lie. Yeah, for sure. When you look at some of these stuff, how it affects us as people and for the future generations to come, because even now we probably might not see the repercussions of it now.
But our children
will see it, but when we're not here. But we're going to probably wonder what's happening, and we would love to preserve the lives of those to come. And also, it will also impact the habits the constant norms that we would say that we normally have,
we
so
put
a
in
big
place,
thing. And that's one of the biggest questions that we have out there. So Jamaica is an island that is, some would say, stubborn. We see it in just the voting loyalties in politics, and we see it in our environment practices. Oh my God, from us really not using proper disposal outlets to full on burning of garbage. So the question that we ask here now: how can we bring about that of a change of norms?
Sanctions.
Oh my!
Straight to the chase.
Oh my God!
Straight to the chase.
So
well, okay, all right. Let me digress. Before we get to sanctions, how about we put in how do I put this? Like, we allow it to be easily accessible for there to be a change. So maybe more garbage disposal being on the streets.
I feel like it has been an initiative taken on by the corporate world.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of getting those recycle bins and different bins and so on and so forth. So do you think it's more onus on the people?
It's definitely on the people. I feel like going into college at specifically UWI, there's this culture shock. Every half a block, there's a recycle bin.
Oh yeah,
and it's
that's so
like,
true.
Whoa, everybody is recycling. So I feel like if we kind of push the agenda towards Jamaica itself at large, we definitely see some change.
Right, and I think also parents have a big role in just educating, because when we look at the whole essence of what a norm is, it's what we deem to be normal in our society. And if it is that we can make normal just the little things of really, not even little thing, it's a big thing. When you say, all right, boy, you throw your garbage in the garbage bin, and if you don't do that thing, we're not gonna say that. Don't do that. So it's a way of really allowing for it to be a core value, an asset to the for future development.
I remember this one time I was on a JUTC bus, and this mother and the child had finished drinking the soda, and the mother didn't want to hold it in her hand, and she just opened the window and just threw it at it, and I was like, whoa.
And the child
is going to see that as normal now, and that child's going to practice that.
Right. And as you said, you jumped to sanctions pretty quickly. But that's another thing too. Because I feel like if it is that there are
repercussions to your actions
or deterrents, because people are not really abiding to or not listening to the real fact and the reality of us bringing about awareness to these things, and us saying that this is damaging
and it's
this is polluting,
and then the thing is that they don't really realize the damages that it's causing until it's too late. Whenever there's floods, whenever there's rains, and you see these gutters and the gullies filling over, and they're like, oh, we need to change and they're like, well, if you would stop throwing garbage in the gutters, then maybe the drainage systems would work better.
That's so true. And probably somebody might bring about the question: do you think there are proper ways or garbage disposal ways? Because some people probably say, well, them garbage they collect over 3 weeks, or something like that. And what is it they're left to do?
That is a question for the Minister of Environment.
That's so true. But for sure, it's one of the things that we must look at Jamaica, if it is that we want to progress as a nation, and in terms of just bringing about that consideration for our children and children to come, and our future, overall. And the next question that we have here is: what measures of sustainable development would you like to see put in place?
We already talked about the garbage being put in place, and we already talked about the sanctions. So what else could we think of?
Well, I think there has to
leave your ideas in the chat first of all.
I think there more awareness needs to be taken.
Definitely.
So if it's
educating children,
educating and information, that's one of the biggest things that we can do too. And hopefully it convicts and plays on the conscience. But I feel like we have several entities doing that, promoting and just the very same, seeing how best we can bring about awareness in that regard. So it's really an onus on the people. I'd say people do the thing them, man, and clean the place and keep the place clean. Keep the island clean, so clean. We'll sing that song till it out of style today. But of course, the other day, Rose, we realized that there was a massive cleanup project of the Kingston Harbour.
Tell me about it.
So we saw where several participants would have come out and would have gone down. Even our very own executive producer, Madam Empress Golding, would have gone out to help clean up the harbour.
Whoa,
yes. So and several social media influencers and socialites and politicians and regular average people and children and grandmothers and everybody came out to clean up the harbour, and it was very just a breath of fresh air.
Wow.
I'd say. So I think it was GK who brought about that. So big up GK for that.
GK.
And for sure, ensure if it is that we can push these agendas to ensure that persons are actually seen. Because when we saw the footage, and we saw the pictures, and we're like, oh my God, this is a very good initiative to clean the harbor.
We need to normalize things like this, just cleaning up. If you have like more influencers really pushing this agenda, pushing this whole clean Jamaica agenda, you'll see a larger increase definitely in the way we treat our environment and the way we teach our kids to treat our environment.
Right. So people out there, how well or how do you think really or how best can we allow for us to progress as a nation in terms of the environment? What can we do? Jump in the chat, please. What can we do to ensure that we are on the right track for the goal? Which goal is that? Life on land. Yeah, one of the SDG goals.
The SDG goals. We have to come back after the break and tell you.
When we go for the break, we're going to come back and we're going to tell you all about that with jumping in a conversation with Dane Brooks. Yeah, man. So, and that's going to be very festive and educational. And we're going to jump into some other conversation and why not with our Mother's Day kind of special. We soon come. Talk Up Yout, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Yout.
Soon come.
Environment, boy. Leave the trees and let them live.
Good health starts with proper hydration. Hydrate your body with Hydrate. Hydrate is purified natural water from rocks 110 feet below the ground. You have never tasted water so great, yet so affordable. Yes, taste and experience it for yourself. Water at its best. Hydrate. Available also as purified alkaline water and ultra-purified distilled water. Bottled by LLNSCS Limited, a subsidiary of Max Pharmaceuticals. Call 876-983-6466.
Corian Solid Surface, so versatile and beautiful. It's non-porous, no sealing necessary, renewable and repairable, so easy to clean and maintain, and can be thermoformed into any shape. Choose Corian, the #1 solid surface in the world, when you want beauty and the best for your countertop. Visit Home International Limited, located at 104 Constance Ring Road. Telephone 755-1970 or 924-0437.
Building wealth the smart way means you have a clear mission for your money. Specific and measurable means defining the reason for your financial goals. Achievable and realistic means keeping those goals meaningful, yet attainable. Think more retirement, less world's richest. Timely means keeping a time frame in mind so that all efforts remain focused.
Visit barita.com/opportunities for more growth coach insights.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Easy Jackama. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
This outstanding 6'4" athlete credits Jamaica with her first Olympic victory ever.
Jamaica is filled with Olympians.
World record holder McKinley dashes into the lead.
We must never forget the forerunners of Jamaican Olympic greatness.
Coming into the home stretch, it's Wint who challenges the leader.
Win or lose, athletes never forget their Olympic experience.
Melly Notti has devastated another world-class field. And Hemmings is going to do it. Hemmings wins it. She's the champion.
Win or lose, Jamaicans will cheer the loudest at the Olympics so that the world will never forget who we are.
And Usain Bolt is moving away. And Jamaica retained their title. And the world record has been taken apart. Oh, I say.
From July 26 to August 11, tune in only to Nationwide 90 FM for the coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, because we're here to ensure that you never forget. Nationwide's coverage is powered by our bronze sponsors: National Road Operating and Construction Company Limited, Digicel, Grace Foods, Spirits of Jamaica, Imperial Optical Jamaica, and Rainforest Caribbean.
Think about the generations and to say we want to make it a better place for our children and our children's children, so that they know it's a better world for them and think if they can make it a better place.
There's a place in your heart, and I know that it is love. And this place is much brighter than tomorrow. And if you really try, you'll find there's no need to cry. In this place, you feel there's no hurt or sorrow. There are ways to get there if you care enough for the living. Make a little space, make a better place, heal the world, make it a better place.
David, you're wrong for that. You're Welcome back to the Dog Youth Radio Show right here on the Revolutionary Station Nationwide 90 FM. And of course, you're listening to the voice of Nicholas Williamson, and alongside me here today is Damien Rose, right. And of course, we're on the topic of environmental conservation and preservation, just the very same. And in our What Say You segment earlier, we spoke on really, have you ever done a cleanup project, been involved like that, and how important it is to ensure sustainable development. And aside from that, how important it is for us to bring about that change in terms of allowing for norms and stuff like that to be set in place, and measures that can be put in place to allow for the SDG, right? And now we're going to hop into a quick conversation. For those who don't know, as I said before, we're talking about the environment and how we can preserve it. And if you haven't caught on, we're talking about sustainable development, as we said earlier. Now, we're going to talk to a very passionate young man who has been quite involved. Just recently, he would have been one of the Prime Minister's Youth Awardee of Excellence. And that is one of the biggest honors, I could definitely say, if it is at your youth, like that in national leadership. And he is here to speak to us today on just the very same topic, because he's also a CARICOM Youth Ambassador and several other things, him have a long bio, and of course he is out there making a change. So we have Dane Brooks. He is a highly accomplished professional who is in the field of development, public policy, and youth empowerment, with a Masters of Science degree in International Public and Development Management, and a Bachelor's of Science in Public Policy and Management from the University of the West Indies, Mona. And of course, everything that I said to you earlier before, and so much more in the back of things. Applies. Good morning, Dane. How you doing?
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
For sure, the pleasure is ours, because we're in the presence of greatness, right? We're in the presence of literally, but for sure in the presence of greatness. Now, of course, Dane, as we spoke earlier, you are so much and so much more. Mm-hmm. And in your portfolio, for sure, under certain headings of your or one of your hats that you wear is surrounding that of policy and youth development and just the whole sustainable development SDGs aspect. And I know that one of CARICOM's main focus too is to allow for the SDGs to be known and how we can apply them to our societies. Now, can you first of all explain to the people who are just coming on, what is sustainable development, and probably we can go from there. Mm-hmm. Set the context.
Certainly. So sustainable development pretty much implies that as countries seek to develop in the current period, the approach that is adopted to that development must be one that does not deplete or endanger the ability of future generations to benefit from the existing resources. Mm-hmm. Because we can appreciate that some resources are finite, but there are others that if you do not manage them properly, you possibly can endanger the ability for future generations to really benefit from it. So sustainable development really encapsulates how we utilize public policy to achieve our immediate development needs, but at the same time do not endanger the viability and the possibility for future generations to also achieve their developmental needs when that time comes.
Absolutely brilliant. So for those who didn't know now, you know that your actions are for sure contributing to future lives. And aside from that, you have a role to play similarly. Now, Dane, as you said, you mentioned policy a while ago and how important policy is. Now, we had a question earlier in terms of how we can see just the measures of sustainable development put in place. You touched on that a moment ago in policy. How can we see some of those things come to fruition, I'd say, and how are some of the ways that are actually happening now to allow for sustainable development?
Certainly, public policy plays an important role because through government, policies operate to be a mediator of how individuals should operate, and individuals being citizens as well as firms. And so public policy is important because it sets the parameter for what citizens can do, and also public policy helps to manage our interaction as a country, but also as a global citizen. And so the realm of public policy also assists countries like Jamaica to interface in the international community, because to pursue sustainable development and the conversation around climate change and global warming, one country cannot achieve the goals. And so public policy requires that we position our policies to interface with countries outside of Jamaica. And so within that context, we're able to establish global treaties. So we talk about the Paris Agreement. That is a form of public policy because as a country, we decided that we needed to accede to this treaty, and it forms part of a slew of policy instruments that are aligned to achieve the objectives of sustainable development. So public policy definitely is important because it is what sets the tone for what government does and what it expects of citizens.
Absolutely brilliant. Wow, I felt like I learned a lot a moment ago. For sure,
There's
because
a lot to unpack.
Right.
Yeah,
for sure, because I've looked at the whole aspect of these treaties, and for sure, some person always asks the question: if it is that, for example, a phenomenon like global warming, I'd say, and just us damaging the ozone layer, stuff like that, situations like that. Persons always say we're in different spaces, we're in different areas. How can we effectively come together and not allow for this to happen when we're all in different spaces? We all have different emissions
and
everything is happening. Probably US has one of the biggest places because based on how they manufacture stuff, and China there about, and we over here doing our own little thing too. So how can we look at where we need to reduce on actually to allow for that reduction? Then that's a big question that the people have out there really, like myself, who don't have much knowledge on the topic, would really address. But would you have an answer for that though?
It is quite difficult because one of the challenges we face is that for us within the Caribbean, for example, small island developing state, factually, our contribution to global emissions is probably the smallest. But we operate not just within the context of the Caribbean, but within a global context. And so the major players like the United States, India, China, those countries, because of their far advanced economy in terms of industrialization, they are producing more emissions. And so the work that United Nations, for example, play as that global governance architecture, it is important because they are the ones that bring all countries together and assist to set parameters in place as to how we interface at the local level. But it is very difficult because each country is pursuing their own interests. And so it brings us into a conversation as to how we can get countries to pursue particular path. But that brings into the discussion a lot of geopolitical issues.
That's true.
And the challenges that accompanies those.
Geopolitical issues. That's a new word for me. Right. Okay, go ahead, Rose.
Okay, so kind of digressing from the public at large and nations at large, and focusing on the youth, right? So, what role do you think young people can play in promoting environmental sustainability and addressing climate change, things like that?
Certainly, one of the things is that as young people, we are the one that will feel the brunt of it. So we have to be on the front line for advocacy. And one of the other dimensions of it is the communication element. Because for us to achieve behavioral transformation, we must communicate why we need to change. And so as young people, we have a better understanding and grasp of modern technology that can be utilized to communicate the need for a just transition. Also, young people can play the role of local activism because within communities, there are various initiatives that as youth we can pursue to advance the climate agenda. And so we would have seen a surge in discussion about climate change as a result of a young lady that would have surged to prominence a couple years ago. I believe she's Greta Thunberg.
Oh, yes.
I might not. And her activism is what would have propelled a lot of the narrative about the urgency of a just transition and countries actually acceding to a more responsible path to development. And so certainly young people have an important role to play from the side of activism, as well as to amplify the issues that are important for young people and youth in general, so we get the changes that we want to see.
Brilliant. I always say, no, young people are not just the future, we're also the here and now. So also we have to look at the fact that, listen, people, we have to advocate for these things, because if it is that we don't speak up and talk up the thing, then the thing them not get better. You know what I'm saying?
You mentioned the whole social media side of it, and that we are the ones who are more better able to actually spread the word and, have it reach a broader audience, because that is so true.
And if I'm being completely honest, now more than ever, we see a lot of persons going into the whole conversation surrounding SDGs. Before, I feel like young people are now, aggressive when it comes on to it. And I think we need to allow for the bigger people to get it.
Because they would have had their time on the beach, but we want to have our time on the beach too. But
yeah, man. And can lay down flat on our backs and in the sun.
Without a Pepsi bottle.
You know what I mean? Yeah, Coca-Cola bottle and pop up 6-packs and stuff like that. For sure. But again, a critical question that we must ask though. So in your opinion, what are some of the key environmental challenges faced in Jamaica or in the Caribbean region, just the very same? And if it is that you can talk about some strategies that we can employ to basically see how best we can effectively address these issues.
Very loaded question.
It is.
But if I may, one of the important thing is we face a challenge of biodiversity. How do we maintain our biodiversity? And that essentially means, as an environment, it composed of various species, it composed of various elements that helps to make the environment and the ecosystem in which we exist as human beings healthy. And so it's a question now of how can we pursue development path that does not disturb that biodiversity or destroy any element of that biodiversity. So for example, we would have been confronted with the challenge of whether we develop boat islands a few years ago. The question was, do we invade that space and disrupt or destroy the mangroves that grow in the space? And the question reflected around biodiversity, because if we do that, we would achieve the development path, but we would also not be able to sustain that development because the mangroves being destroyed would naturally cause the greatest impact that a hurricane can possibly bring to the island. So that is an issue that we face. How do we maintain biodiversity while we pursue a development path? The other challenge we also face is resilient agriculture. Within the Caribbean, we depend heavily on agriculture, but given the nature of climate change, we face the potential of food insecurity because of the impact that climate change has. So the question now is, how can the Caribbean strengthen our climate infrastructure so that we are able to pursue more resilient agriculture and an agricultural sector that can withstand the impact of climate change? Also, finally, we have to look at the global financing architecture for climate change. And that is important for the Caribbean because many of our economies are very small and we do not have the ability to make the necessary investments to respond to the impact of climate change. And so it requires that the global financing mechanisms are aligned with assisting developing countries to achieve that just transition. And so we hear discussion about Green Climate Fund, for example. That is a recognition that we have to establish a global fund where countries can access resources to strengthen their local initiatives and also build out the climate infrastructure at the local level. So there are several things that the Caribbean faces, and we have to advocate as a united bloc so we're able to tap into global resources and also strengthen our advocacy for what SIDS require.
Right. Well, Odin, that was a lot, man, and believe me, that was so much to the point where I feel as though there's so much that we need to do, and we recognizing that so much that we really need to do. And aside from that, it shows us that this is not only a Jamaica problem;
it's a world at large.
It's not a Jamaica problem. So people with the big money and the big pocket, them come and start investing in the thing, them man. So we need those persons for sure to be able to come on board and invest in these initiatives because for sure it is not only looking at current situations, but for sure for the future in ensuring sustainable development. We're going to take a quick break a day and stick and stay with us. Don't move on most a day because of course we have so much conversation we need to have with you after this break. We'll soon come back. Talk up youth, myself. Talk up youth. Soon come.
For you and for me and the entire human race, there are people dying. If you care enough for living, make a better place for you and for me.
Big sale now on at Cameron Industries. Up to 50% off quarter and 5/8-inch furniture ply and other items. Now available. Termite resistant furniture ply, granite, quartz, and solid surface countertops. You don't want to miss these amazing deals. Visit us at Hatfield Mandeville or call us at 963-0628.
Nationwide 90 FM is at it again. Team Revolution will clear every hurdle and sprint to the finish line as we cover the games of the 33rd Olympiad from Paris, the city of love.
Winning by daylight and setting a world record, 9.68. The wind is okay.
Nationwide's coverage is powered by our diamond sponsor, KFC. It's finger-licking good across all locations island-wide.
welcome back to the Talk Booth Radio Show.
Together as one.
Right here on Nationwide 90 FM. Listen to me. David is really playing out the songs. No joke, those songs are really ones that we hold dear to our hearts.
Yeah, really
Instead of playing Heal the World earlier, you know, Heal the World. Make it a better place. We're not going to sing that for you today, but you get the gist of what is happening. We're talking to Dane Brooks. He is, of course, a CARICOM Youth Ambassador, and aside from that, a Prime Minister Youth Awardee in National Development, and he holds a degree or a master's in the science degree in public international public and development management, and a bachelor's of science in public policy from the University of the West Indies. He's very educated on the matter, and for sure he is one with great perspective. I really want to hear from him in terms of really allowing for the youth's voice to be heard. Now, Dane, you touched earlier on just the challenges that we face, but also seeing that we have several challenges, or as you mentioned, those very in detail, depth challenges. What about some approaches that we can take in terms of remedying these issues?
And raising awareness about the environmental issues and, inspiring actions among young people. Because you mentioned earlier about the mangroves.
Yeah.
And I feel like unless you do things like geography or, your biology like me, you wouldn't really have an understanding about the importance of these things.
Yeah.
The importance of things like deforestation, the reefs, and how really economically and even environmentally needed these things are in our environment. When it comes to things like natural disasters, like these are really the backbone of our defenses. People always stick and say like things like, "Oh, Jamaica is so blessed; these hurricanes are always passing us." It's really the reefs. It's really the reefs.
Oh, man.
And I feel like you need to really be able to educate kids more. So, like, what approaches do you think we can really push towards getting kids more understand? Not kids, young people, and the world at large, more educated and aware. About these, these necessary things in the environment.
For sure, Dane. Go ahead. You understand the question?
Certainly.
Okay.
So one of the things is communication has an important role to play. We have to engage our people because a lot of our citizens emanate from a dispensation where climate justice, climate change was not a big conversation. And one of the things we have to do is that we have to make the discussion about climate change very personal. So for the farmer in St. Elizabeth, when you talk about climate change, you have to make the connection with agricultural production, how climate change affects how much he's able to produce and how much he's able to reap from his crops. So I believe that we have to make that connection with the lived experiences of individuals. So whenever we are facing drought conditions, we have to make the connection with why we are experiencing drought and how that directly affects livelihood. That is how you get citizens to appreciate and to understand what climate change is about, because they are living it. But we have to make them understand why some of the things around them are happening. Another thing that we also have to do as a country and as a region is to build our climate resilience. So within the discussion about climate change, you have discussion about mitigation and adaptation. Climate change is happening. We cannot sit by and not put systems in place to be able to respond. And so it requires for us to look at adaptive measures that we can pursue as a country that will able to lessen the impact of the climate impact and also how we can build resilience. So whenever if a hurricane should hit Jamaica, for example, how long does it take us to recover? Do we have the necessary resources in the first place to be able to recover? And so we have been seeing the government talking about acquiring various instruments through the World Bank, through the IDB, that would assist us in Jamaica to be able to access resources that would assist us in the recovery process. That is how you also build resilience, because resilience really means how long it takes for you to recover when you are down. So climate financing is an important component to what we can do. And finally, what we can do as a country is to ensure that our development approach is one that is forward thinking, is one that does not just focus on the now, but also look at the future. So when it comes on to disaster risk management, that is an important dimension to climate change. So that looks at how are we building our infrastructure? Are we following best practices? Are we following proper procedures in how we're constructing certain buildings? So all of that leads back to a discussion about the role of public policy and how governments should really operate to govern what happens within a country.
Wow. I took so much from what you said a moment ago, because listen, I don't want persons to feel like this is for just an intellectual person or somebody who is at a particular standard. This is for everybody, you know, and everybody little bits and pieces to chime in.
He mentioned that people should really understand why things are happening, and I feel like that's something that's so important. The other day I was walking with my friends. Well, no, that wasn't the other day. It was, I think, 2 weeks ago, but that's not really that important. The point is, the first one was a third prime student, and the sun was so hot. And they were like, why the sun is so hot? The sun are grow. And like they were trying to give me some scientific physics thing about like over time the sun gets bigger, and I'm like, no, that's just like climate change. The ozone layer is degrading.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to get them to understand, like, people like that will really see things.
Yes.
They don't understand that it's really things like fossil fuel, burn the exhaust from your cars. That's the reason why you're really feeling the direct heat of it. So I feel like the more we educate kids, it's really so important.
Yeah, and tell the honest people, go read a book, go read something, man. Go read a book so you can, contribute to the conversation. Because listen, if it is that you don't know, the worst thing is not to know.
If you don't know, you can't help.
Exactly.
You just
and the worst thing is, people always say knowledge is power, and if it's that you don't have the persons with the knowledge for sure, will sometimes come with it, and you probably don't even know about it.
For a price as well.
Yeah, want it for a price too. So Dane, thank you so much for speaking to us today. I want for you to just leave a final. Okay, we have 1 minute before the break for news. Just a final word to any young person who is really disengaged from the whole aspect of sustainable development. This is your word to them.
Certainly, my word would be identify a role that you can play. This is not a high-level discussion that you should just be a bystander looking at. Recognize what role you can play. It can be a small role. It can be leading a beach cleanup initiative.
Yes.
It can be developing a local community garden. Your role is important. Don't discount your role. You might not understand everything at this moment, but appreciate where you're at and get involved. The dialogue is there to be had.
Whoa. Thank you so much, Dane. Brilliant conversation with you. And again, congratulations to you, sir, for being Prime Minister Youth Awardee of Excellence in the category of national leadership. And for sure, man, big up yourself always. You are an inspiration to all. And of course, to all young people. Be a Dane. Try to be like a Dane one day to be able to really contribute to national development. Thank you so much again for joining us today, Dane. We're going to run to a break for midday news. And when we return, for sure, we're going to continue the discussion with several other known young people in the field, talking about, of course, the whole aspect of sustainable development. Before we go to that, though, we are seeing how best we can try and work on some logistics. But the question for sure that we really want to ask you is, how well do you know about sustainable development? How well do you know about sustainable development? Sorry about that. And how can you contribute? Because, of course, contribution is one of the most, the great thing that you can do is to contribute to that of sustainable development. Again, we're going to run to a quick break for midday news, and we soon come back.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM. You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
12 noon.
It's credible and factual. The World at Noon on Nationwide 90 FM.
Good afternoon, I'm Andrew Cannon. Coming up in the World at Noon for this Saturday, May 11, 2024, 2 children were the victims of fatal collisions that took place yesterday, Friday, May 10. Water Resources Authority tells Jamaicans to brace for hotter temperatures and even less water over the next 50 years. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck is warning that schools are quickly becoming battle zones. In the region, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines government says it has lifted visa requirements for cricketing countries except Afghanistan ahead of next month's T20 Cricket World Cup. While on the international scene, Israel tells tens of thousands more Palestinians to leave Rafah as it intensifies military operations in southern Gaza. And in sports, in a move towards bolstering safety measures at Vernum Field, the Jamaica Millennium Motoring Club JMMC recently presented a ceremonial check to Kenty Racing Events. The details after this. Two children were the victims of fatal collisions that took place yesterday, Friday, May 10. Dead are a 12-year-old male who was a pedestrian and a 14-year-old female who was a passenger. According to the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, about 6:30 p.m. in St. Catherine, a grey 2014 Subaru Impreza motor car was proceeding southerly along Newlands Main Road when, upon reaching a section of the roadway, it is alleged that the boy walked across the roadway into the path of the motor car, causing a collision. He was assisted to the Spanish Town Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Meanwhile, the 14-year-old was among the triple fatal collision in Westmoreland. She has been identified as Shanique Severo of Strawberry District, Westmoreland. The 3 persons died as a result of injuries they sustained in a motor vehicle collision on Bay Road, Little London in Westmoreland. The other 2 passengers are 43-year-old Owen Barnes, manager of Good Hope, Westmoreland, and 48-year-old Alwyn Severo, a welder of Friendship, Westmoreland. Reports from the Little London Police are that about 9:40 p.m. a Toyota Hiace motor bus and a Toyota Corolla motor car were traveling in opposite directions along the roadway when the 2 vehicles collided head-on. The police were summoned and the injured persons were transported to hospital, where the drivers of both vehicles, along with Shanique, who was a passenger in the Toyota Hiace motor bus, were pronounced dead. 6 other persons are being treated for minor injuries. Investigations continue. Summerfield in Clarendon was the scene of the brutal slaying of a food vendor last night sometime after 9. The deceased has been identified as Conroy Osborne, who sold steamed fish and turned cornmeal. It's understood that Osborne's money and phone were taken during the killing, and his wife had pleaded with the hoodlums for him not to be killed. Based on a video that has been making the rounds on social media, one of the bullets passed through Mr. Osborne's head. On the video, the deceased is seen in a blood-stained white t-shirt with bullet holes. The Urban Development Corporation, UDC, says it remains committed to supporting the country's craft vendors. This follows a press conference on Thursday where some vendors from craft markets in St. Anne raised concerns about the state of the markets. The vendors also lamented the difficulties in getting new leases and licenses. President of the Pineapple Craft Traders Association, Claire Pink Bruce, spoke on behalf of the members.
I'm saying to UDC again, you are in breach. Yes. And you know you're in breach. Yes. And I don't want you to shut nothing down Pineapple Craft Market Road. Yes. We have always complied with you and know you have gone too far. So we are sending this message to you today. Come and talk to us. Come and sit with us as if we are decent citizens of Jamaica and talk with us and don't shout at us on the phone wherever we go, telling us you have to sign, like we're children. We are business people of Outreers of Jamaica. That's my message to you today.
Claire Pink Bruce, president of the Pineapple Craft Traders Association. But on Friday, the UDC says it met with the Pineapple Place craft traders on April 23 to update and finalize their licensing agreements. This, the corporation says, forms part of a broader initiative that includes refurbishments at Pineapple Place and Ocheria's Craft Markets, while landscaping enhancements to follow. The UDC adds that several projects to uplift and clean the markets are underway. It further stressed the importance of fee collection in maintaining the spaces. The UDC says vendor agreements are crucial for ensuring regulatory compliance and boosting consumer confidence. It says vendors in Kingston and Negril have already signed their agreements and efforts are underway in St. Anne to complete this process. Managing Director of the Water Resources Authority, WRA, Peter Clark, says over the next 50 years, Jamaica should brace for hotter temperatures and even less water.
This is a projection of our water situation between 2019 and 2080. And you can see that between changing patterns in rainfall, increasing heat, what it means is that over time, this country is going to be more and more water stressed, which means that over time, and starting now, we'll have to be putting in what it's going to take to mitigate against that. So of course, evaporation levels are going to get higher. All of this heat is coming in, evaporation is increasing, and then that affects your water sources and your water resources.
Mr. Clark was addressing a disaster prevention town hall meeting in Port Antonio, Portland on Thursday. The meeting was held by the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development. Jamaica continues to grapple with ongoing drought conditions. Southern and western parishes have been severely impacted by the lack of water. Mr. Clark says the increasing heat could result in more than 80,000 gallons of water per hour simply evaporating from the Mona Reservoir.
The Mona Reservoir is a system that I think everybody in Jamaica has heard of. It's roughly 70 acres in size. And if you use an average wind speed of, say, 15 kilometers per hour, an average air temperature of 80 degrees Fahrenheit, a humidity of 50%, you get an evaporation rate of 85,000 gallons per hour. That's a lot of water evaporating out of Mona Reservoir. On the average, 500,000 gallons per hour go in. 85 is evaporating and 500,000 is going, which means that you could have, over a 6-hour period, whatever is going in for that 6-hour period, 17% is evaporating. While over the day, because it's going to get cool and night, it's going to get dark and there'll be no evaporation, over the overall 24-hour period, you'll have an overall 4% evaporation. Now, that's still significant.
Peter Clark, Managing Director at the Water Resources Authority, WRA. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck is warning that schools are quickly becoming battle zones. He says the nation's children need to be rescued from the damaging environment that erode human decency.
We need a cultural shift in the behavior of our citizens, and especially our children in the schools. Custos Chin and other custodies, our schools have become battle zones where abuses, fighting, and violence are too frequent. The Honourable Garfield Green, Custos of Manchester, has introduced the idea and plans to have peace ambassadors in our schools, and this effort should be replicated. We need to rescue our children from the damaging and negative influences within their homes, their neighborhoods, and other public spaces. Our children require a more wholesome environment to study and grow.
The minister was addressing the installation ceremony of the new Custos Rotolorum of Clarendon, Edith Chin, on Friday. Minister Chuck says justices of the peace must be at the vanguard in changing the necessary cultural shift away from violence, particularly among children.
As we continue the fight to curb the tendency of far too many of our citizens to abuse and fight one another, the government will be dependent on you, Custos Chin, to encourage and inspire justices of the peace in Clarendon to be peacemakers and advocates of justice in their everyday encounters. In truth, Jamaica is dependent on our outstanding volunteers, the over 10,900 justices of the peace across Jamaica, to be at the forefront of a cultural shift towards a decent, civil, kinder, and gentle society.
Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice. To news in the region, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines government says it has lifted visa requirements for cricketing countries except Afghanistan ahead of next month's T20 Cricket World Cup. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves told Parliament during the debate on the ICC Cricket World Cup West Indies bill that his administration lifted the restrictions on Wednesday but is spending a lot of time addressing security questions. And we are doing so within a regional context and our allies, particularly the United States, Canada, Britain, France and the Netherlands, because we have to have it safe, he said. Gonsalves told legislators some countries have visa restrictions for some cricketing nations, noting only Afghanistan passport holders require a visa to enter St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Gonsalves, who is also Minister of National Security, said about 4 weeks ago, government imposed visa requirements on Nepal and Bangladesh, two cricketing nations. On the international scene, Israel has told tens of thousands more Palestinians to leave Rafah as it intensifies military operations in southern Gaza. Flyers dropped from the air and posts on social media told residents in the city's eastern districts to go to Al-Mawazi, a narrow coastal area which Israel calls an expanded humanitarian zone. Parts of Rafah, where the streets were packed with locals and displaced people just days ago, now look like a ghost town. Israel has said it will proceed with planned operations in Rafah, despite the US and other allies warning that a ground offensive could lead to mass civilian casualties and a humanitarian crisis. Images showed smoke rising over the city on Saturday, and witnesses quoted by AFP reported airstrikes near the crossing with Egypt. Posting on X, formerly known as Twitter, the Israel Defense Forces said that during the past day, troops had been engaged in face-to-face battles with Hamas fighters in Rafah. To sports, in a move towards bolstering safety measures at Burnham Field, the Jamaica Millennium Motoring Club JMMC recently presented a ceremonial check to Kenty Racing Events aimed at funding additional vital safety barriers to ensure the well-being of spectators during events. The donation comes as part of JMMC's ongoing commitment to promoting safety within the motorsport community at the renowned venue. Emphasizing the importance of prioritizing spectator safety alongside the thrill of motorsport, the safety barriers are expected to provide additional protection, offering peace of mind to spectators and participants alike, underscoring the collaborative effort within the motorsport community to continually improve safety standards. And now to recap the top stories making the world at noon. 2 children were the victims of fatal collisions that took place yesterday, Friday, May 10. Water Resources Authority WRA tells Jamaicans to brace for hotter temperatures and even less water over the next 50 years. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck is warning that schools are quickly becoming battle zones. I'm Andrew Cannon. You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News is next, 5 o'clock. Stay tuned as we go back to Talk Up Youths.
Variety is the spice of life. That's not just true for entertainment, it's true for investing too. While stocks, bonds, and cash are effective, there are other credible investment options out there. These are alternative investments, ranging from digital options like cryptocurrencies to old school investments like gold, real estate, and private equity. You can invest on your own or via a fund with a curated portfolio of investment options.
Visit barita.com/opportunities for more growth coach insights.
This outstanding 6'4" athlete credits Jamaica with her first Olympic victory ever.
Jamaica is filled with Olympians.
World record holder McKinley dashes into the lead.
We must never forget the forerunners of Jamaican Olympic greatness.
Coming into the home stretch, it's Wint who challenges the leader.
Win or lose, athletes never forget their Olympic experience.
Fairly Naughty has devastated another world-class field. And Hemmings is going to do it. Hemmings wins it. She's the champion. A personal...
Win or lose, Jamaicans will cheer the loudest at the Olympics so that the world will never forget who we are.
And Usain Bolt is moving away. And Jamaica retain
From July 26 to August 11, tune in only to Nationwide 90 FM for the coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, because we're here to ensure that you never forget. Nationwide's coverage is powered by our bronze sponsors: National Road Operating and Construction Company Limited, Digicel, Grace Foods, Spirits of Jamaica, Imperial Optical Jamaica, and Rainforest Caribbean.
Teachers, looking for a loan? Look no further. At Chris and Charles, you can borrow up to $2 million without a guarantor. We understand the difference your job makes, so here's a little extra support just for you. We know the best teachers teach from the heart, and at Chris and Charles, we're here to help you succeed. Give us a call at 876-920-4189 or WhatsApp 876-838-9028 for loan options. Conditions apply. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
Nationwide 90 FM is at it again. Team Revolution will clear every hurdle and sprint to the finish line as we cover the games of the 33rd Olympiad from Paris, the city of love.
3 meters clear, 5 meters clear, and away he goes. He continues on his way towards another gold medal. 5 gold medals, 5 world records.
Nationwide's coverage is powered by our diamond sponsor, Fosrich, fostering rich customer service across all locations island-wide.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come with me. Let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Good health starts with proper hydration. Hydrate your body with Hydrate. Hydrate is purified natural water from rocks 110 feet below the ground. You have never tasted water so great, yet so affordable. Yes, taste and experience it for yourself. Water at its best. Hydrate. Available also as purified alkaline water and ultra-purified distilled water. Bottled by LLNSCS Limited, a subsidiary of Max Pharmaceuticals. Call 876-983-6466.
Yeah, man, you don't know, this is Naomi Cowan representing for Talk Up Youth. This on every Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, me say Talk Up Youth, yeah. You have to stand for your rights now. Now is the time. Tell the people.
This is Nikisha Barnes representing for Talk Up Radio, a Talk Up Youth production held every Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Talk Up Youth, myself, Talk Up Youth.
Baby, follow my command, like zombie. Go down on me, oh, with your coca body. Follow my command, like zombie. Go down on me, oh, with your coca body. Cause this your milky for front enough for me. Hold on for me, I no go do me corny. And if you're milky enough, I
All right, welcome back to the Talk With Radio Show right here on Revolutionary Station Nationwide 90 FM. And of course, you are listening to the voice of Nicholas Williamson, and alongside me here today is
Damien Rose.
Yes, and we are continuing in our Youth for Chat segment. Talk of the thing them youth. Don't hold back with the thing them, right? And we're talking about environmental conservation and preservation in Jamaica, and we're focusing now on the critical role of public awareness and how we can, as youth, get involved in these things for sure. No, so everybody probably know by now the United Nations, and it's one of the things that one of the entities, I'd say, organizations that really contributes to the SDGs, and that is the Sustainable Development Goals for sure, and seeing how best we can apply them into just our society, the whole integration in that regard. So the Model UN, or United Nations Club, MUN, is a dynamic platform where students simulate the workings of the United Nations, engaging in lively debates and negotiations on a global issue. Right, through the Model United Nations Club, participants gain valuable insights into international relations, diplomacy, and public problem solving, while honing or harnessing their public speaking and critical thinking skills. Right, there's a vibrant community where students collaborate, advocate, and enact change, mirroring the real-world efforts of the United Nations to address pressing global challenges and concerns for sure. Now we're going to be joined by two, I'd say, very renowned individuals in the field who have definitely shaped and helped to contribute to that of public awareness, and through just youth activism in that regard. We're going to speak to Gabrielle Bryan. She is the immediate past president for the National Prefects Association, Jamaica Prefects Association, former Manchester High School head girl, and of course she is the former Manchester High School United Nations Youth and Student Club president and United Nations Association of Jamaica lead trainer. And also Noel Lewin Jr., he is United Nations project manager and Prime Minister for the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica back sometime there, and also the president for the Environmental Club, so people in our midst for sure, and vice president for the St. Andrew Leo Club, and also director of events for Chancellor Hall External Affairs Committee. Good morning, gentle people, or good afternoon, good afternoon. I'm not hearing you all. Good afternoon. Is that Gabriel and Noel on?
Yes, good afternoon. Are you able to hear me?
Hearing you, Noel, loud and clear. Gabriel, how about you? Oosh. Okay. I think we're having technical difficulties with Gabriel over that side. But good morning, Noel. How you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yes. Exams have concluded, so I'm grateful.
To God with the glory, great things He has done. We have all, going over that, that hill. That was a massive hill or something. But for sure, we're grateful to have you on here today, and knowing that this is your niche, this is your topic, this is what you advocate for. So Noel, really, our first question out to you is, of course, we understand the United Nations initiative for sure. Now, I want for you to elaborate on how UN Model Club promotes environmental education and public awareness within the university community.
Okay, let me just say thank you very much again for inviting me for today's program. I'm really, really grateful. So the Model United Nations Club has made great efforts to promote environmental protection and preservation in many initiatives. So we have participated in beach cleanups to ensure that we are reducing the prevalence of plastic. For example, in different communities, because we know the impacts that plastics can have on the environment and also people. We also participated in sensitizing our club about the importance of environmental preservation. We have participated in tree planting initiatives, recycling initiatives, and again, we know the importance of playing our part to reduce the impacts of plastics, reduce the impacts of on the environment, basically. So yeah, we have participated in many initiatives, and also we have taken the necessary efforts to sensitize our campus on the importance of playing their part.
Absolutely brilliant, Noel. And I must commend you for the work that you're doing, because of course, in being able to, allow for education is one of the greatest things that we can ever do. Gabriel, are you on with us? I think I'm still having some technical difficulties. The audio difficulties in being able to hear you, Gabriel. I don't know if you might have to just log on and come back on for sure. Try that for me, please. But of course, Noel, as you stretched on earlier, the importance of awareness, and it's really good that you're doing that in the university space. Noel, what are specific challenges, or what specific challenges you encounter while raising these public awareness about environmental issues, and how does the UA, UN Model Club, address them, those issues, of course? Because of course we always hear people talk about them stuff about environment, and they're really not so much passionate about it like that, or feel like it's only a certain level of persons that have the real capacity or mental capacity or intelligence capacity to talk about these matters. No, talk to us about that a little bit.
Noel?
Okay, yeah. So definitely one of the main issues that we face is that students believe that they're not the ones responsible for reducing the effects of for example, plastic bottles, for example, just overall the negative impacts that humans create on the environment. So they believe as if the government is the one responsible for allocating funds, making every effort to combat this issue. But we believe that as student leaders, as just overall citizens of the country, we can play a very important role. It could be as simple as disposing our garbage properly. So, for example, there are many recycling bins on campus.
Yes.
You can play a part. We show them that you can play a part in this important issue by just putting the plastic bottle in the right bin. It could be as simple as educating someone else on the importance of playing their role also, and joining different organizations that champion this cause to strengthen their voices, to strengthen their efforts, and to strengthen their numbers as well. So one of the main issues that we face is persons believing that it is not their role to combat this issue.
Right, and I feel that's a problem though. How can you not believe that it is your role to play, especially when you're living here?
I feel like there's some level of entitlement in that stance.
I don't know. I think that I feel like I don't think it's a problem where there is enough education being put out there, or knowledge being put out there. For sure, we have several wonderful people or intelligent people putting out information about these issues, and
the importance
tackling.
is somewhat always undervalued in terms of like the broad
and
society.
as we spoke about earlier, it being a value. One of those things that we look at to be a norm in our society. Now, Noel, can you a little bit address that in terms of allowing for persons to really get on board with these things? Because I think one of the problems that we have is that young people they feel disengaged from this topic. They feel like it's only the bigger people up top for talk about it, and the people that have sense like you and I and Rose and the other people, for talk about it, because we have a little bit more sense, but they don't understand that they're also playing a role in terms of the bigger picture. Now, let them understand the bigger picture first, and aside from that, allow for them to kind of understand from your perspective.
Okay. Well, let me just give a little short story. So I'm from Clarendon, and in my opinion, there are not many initiatives and also persons champion causes like these. My community is plagued with flooding, and one of the contributors is the improper disposal of garbage in our canals. And for me, it was really United Nations that gave me this sense of responsibility to make every effort to combat that issue. Participating in, for example, the simulations at the United Nations conferences, it showed you that as a young person, you are important in changing the world. So I believe that we need to attempt to show these other young individuals, or just individuals overall, that not because you don't have the necessary resources, not because you're not a notable person in society with a title, doesn't mean that you are not important in this issue. So I would say that persons within our society and beyond should realize that we can't really depend on the government, because that is something that people love to say, the government.
It's a government problem.
It's not a me thing.
Yeah, we're paying taxes, and resources are there to collect our garbage and all of that. But we really need to get away from that mindset. We really need to understand that, yes, the money is there for the necessary facilities and resources. However, we still need to complement that. We have to know that not only does improper garbage disposal or prevalence of plastic bottles or the emissions of greenhouse gases, that doesn't only affect the environment. In turn, it affects us as human beings, our inhabitants of the environment. So therefore, you have to think about yourself as well, right? It is affecting you, and therefore you have to play your role in mitigating these issues. So we need persons to understand that. And we need them to understand also that if we sit aside or stand aside and allow for our environment to be affected in that way, it will affect not only the present, but also the future as well. So we're looking on your children or their children in the future. So think about that.
Absolutely brilliant. And my point is, stop going like in a notice, because you notice what's going on. Stop going like in a notice, you notice what's going on. Is that me? I say you have to go on like you really.
Been waiting to use that word.
Listen to me. It's a thing, and I want persons to understand that it doesn't only really look at the big people. Everybody's affected by this, and your contribution would be invaluable to this cause. We're going to run to a quick break, Noel. Don't go anywhere. And when we come back, for sure, we'll continue conversation with both Noel and Gabriel on the line. We soon come back. Talk up with myself. Talk up youth. Soon come.
We walk in, they stare. Please show them your best. Baby, hope you know you light to my day. Girl, you know you're all that I need. Give me your love, you can't run away. I can't deny. One bag of man, them one come try. But my love just takes you high. All them I talk about you and I. Nobody listen to them loud. I get butterflies when I see ya. Oh yeah. If I'm in love, it's for a reason. Oh yeah. Gonna waka when you enter my licha. Baby, gonna will you give me sugar? Wala. Macho Mona Lisa.
Guilty. Outperform, outlast. Guilty. We top performance. Guilty. Jackama. Reliable. Full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Nationwide 90 FM is at it again. Team Revolution will clear every hurdle and sprint to the finish line as we cover the games of the 33rd Olympiad from Paris, the city of love.
Winning by daylight and setting a world record, 9.68. The wind is okay.
Nationwide's coverage is powered by our diamond sponsor, KFC. It's finger-licking good across all locations island-wide.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come in, let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Those oldies but goodies reminds me of you.
Chimney, new government.
This is Nikisha
Give
Bond representing
thanks.
for Talk Up
Sing
Radio,
it.
a Talk Up Youth production held every Saturday 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Talk Up Youth, Mr. for Talk Up Youth.
We give thanks for it. You spend all that money on your watch. How much time you spend with your son? So much money in the club. How much you spend with the ones you love? The simple things are your blessings. Simple things, them are your blessings.
Welcome back to the Talk With Radio Show right here on the revolutionary station Nationwide 90 FM. And of course, you're listening to the voice of the out and stunting boss, Nicholas Williamson. And alongside me here
The
today
engineer
is
boss, Damien Rose.
Right, we have Wilper bosses. Okay, you know, a big deal, right? And of course, we're on the conversation, the topic of environmental conservation and just preservation in that regard. And we're talking to two brilliant individuals, and that is Noel Lewin. He is the project coordinator for the UN Model Club and environmental president for that club, just the very same at UA. And we're here with Gabrielle Bryan. Also, she was the former head prefect at Manchester High School, and also she is the United Nations Association lead trainer, and also she is the former Manchester High School United Nations Student Club president. For sure, and we're having a massive conversation with them surrounding that topic. Gabrielle, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
good
brilliant.
evening, everybody.
Good afternoon. Now, Gabrielle, of course, I want you to chime in on the conversation a little bit now, because as, first of all, as former president for the Manchester High School United Nations Student Club, for sure, how do you engage students in just the whole conversation surrounding environmental conservation efforts?
You know, I have spent a lot of time over the past couple of years working with students and getting them involved in the UN, having them understand what it is the UN does, the workings, the Sustainable Development Goals, and putting to them the idea that, listen, as young people, we're here and we want to engage with you and want to broaden your horizon so you're able to understand what it is to be a global citizen and a global leader, right? And so when we put these ideas such as environmental preservation and conservation, we say to students, all right, here's a topic at hand. What do you think we can do? What is it that, what do you believe is the issue? And then how do we go about mitigating that issue? We say to them, listen, put into perspective that we're global citizens and we all are working towards one particular goal. How is it that we go about doing so, and doing so in partnership? Because one of the goals, goal number 17, is partnership for the Sustainable Development Goals, right? Partnership for the goals. And so we say we're not only doing this for ourselves, we're doing this as a group, as a collective, which is why I heard Noel say earlier that, you know, working with students internationally, attending these conferences is very important, because you get to hear the perspectives from everybody, not only from us who we might have one perspective of one issue that's going on in Jamaica, but then you have students from across the world who are better able to broaden our horizons and better able to explain what's going on. And so we are able to put ideas together as a collective. So that is what we strive to do, or that's what we at Manchester had tried to do with our students, and then I've taken that into the university space, working with the United Nations Association of Jamaica, and of course becoming a member of the UA Model United Nations Club as well.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. Now, Gabrielle, can you share with us a little bit of some success stories? Because we want to know how well has this really been, you know, working? How the impact has been really going? Because lead train, that's a big thing. That's a big deal right there. Go ahead with that.
Listen, I saw you struggling with the titles earlier.
Right. Listen to me. Carry on.
Okay. But trust me, it's been a journey. I would say everything that I've done has led to this point. Everything that I've done has been a success. I have no complaints in my workings of the UN, no complaints whatsoever. I would have started back in 2020 attending United Nations conferences online. And that would have translated into me working in the regional space or the national space here in Jamaica with the Jamun conference as well. And then I had the opportunity to actually host a few conferences for myself. So putting on the conferences of myself, and trust me, engaging with the young people in the high school space was absolutely phenomenal.
Wow.
Getting to work with them and hear their perspectives. I've spent time as head delegate, as deputy chair, working in the background space and doing the background work and preparation of conference. I've also done that. This year I got to travel with Manchester High School as an advisor. So everything that I've done thus far has been phenomenal, and I give so much credit to the United Nations Association of Jamaica, their president, Miss Christine Lumsden Hastings. She's been phenomenal. She's a great friend of mine. And then we working in the space as lead trainer, I've basically taken on the high school students, decided that, I want to leave something with them. I've left the high school space, and what I want to do is pass on the knowledge and expertise. So I've taken them from beginning of conference to the end of conference, working with them through the material, ensuring that they are able to put into perspective everything that we've taught and everything they've learned about the UN and the workings and how the world operates in general, and putting that into play when they go there, so they are able to become not only global citizens, I say that a lot, but not only global citizens, but become the best delegate they are able to be.
Absolutely brilliant. Oh my, that's a massive contribution right there. I like that. I like that. And for sure, Noel, I wanted to chime in here a little bit because Gabriel touched on it a moment ago, and you also did earlier. In looking at how does the UN Model Club overall collaborate with organizations and stakeholders to really advance environmental conservation efforts in Jamaica? Because I'm sure partnership is one of the key things that you have to do, especially in trying to bring about awareness. Just the very same. Go ahead, Noel.
Yeah, most definitely. Our partnership for the goals, SDG 17, is very important. So the Model United Nations Club has definitely partnered with the GIL specifically, because they are the body, student-led body that is in charge of the clubs, specifically the first VP, VP SSP. So we have partnered with them, and also the External Affairs Chairperson, Cardelia, outgoing, for example, on the beach cleanup initiative.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I am also involved in the National Environmental Trust organization as well. So through my membership, I've also fostered partnership there as well. For tree planting, we had made some efforts to partner with Chancellor Hall, where I live, on campus, and also the club. However, that did not come, that initiative did not become a reality for this year. But definitely, I'm sure the new exec will prioritize these issues, as climate change and environmental issues are always relevant and is very important. So I'm sure the exec for the Model UN Club coming this new semester or academic year will prioritize that. It is important to partner with different organizations and also different bodies on campus, because not only it helps to strengthen the resources that we have, but the knowledge base, the experts in these different organizations that assist us by educating us on the different areas of importance, and also directing us to different organizations that can help us as well, has really been of great assistance to us. Partnership for the goals is important, as I mentioned, because it strengthens the efforts, it fosters great relationships, and it also increases the positive impact that we intend to have when we start conceptualizing or different initiatives. So I encourage every Model UN club, if students are listening here, or just teachers on a whole, to foster that relationship. Don't focus only on your school and look to just your school to execute these projects. Branch out to different organizations that champion these cause, and I guess even private sectors will fund some of these initiatives.
Yes, for sure.
Because it's somewhat their priority as well, or they're just contributing to the environment in ways that they can't, probably through financial support. So I definitely support partnerships and hope that for future references, other clubs, other persons in different communities as well, because it's not just in the schools or universities. The community-based organizations or just individuals on a whole can execute these projects if they seek the necessary assistance.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I completely agree with what you said a while ago. So we're making an appeal to the big pocket people, the people with the money, to really come out and really support these initiatives, because of course when we can be some of the time, I tell people all the time, the problem is oftentimes funding with these initiatives. And if it is that we can get on board in partnering with these young people, with the UN model, and just these clubs, environmental club, and institutions, high schools who are really wanting to undertake these activities, for sure it would be absolutely brilliant. And you'll be doing your corporate social responsibility. Call it that, if you want to. Now, Gabriel, for you though, I want for you to look at, just to answer this a little bit for us in a bit, in looking at what role do you believe youth engagement plays in driving environmental action and sustainability initiatives in Jamaica, really?
First of all, I would say that I think you and I have a friend who she often says that it's important to give youth a place at the table, but also
I know that friend.
All right, but also having the youth be engaged when they're at the table and actually being able to express their ideas and bring about change, right? And so I think youth involvement is pertinent, right? I think youth. When youth come to the table, I think they bring a new perspective to everything, right? They share an idea that one is new and upcoming and something that may not have been thought about before. And also they bring a perspective in which you are able to actually conceptualize and put into play. And I think that is very important. Sometimes we find where persons think of the idea and you think, okay, all right, and you write it down on paper and it can go no further. We have a set of youth right now in Jamaica and quite frankly across the world. They're so focused on getting the job done. These are the young people who you need to engage. And so when we talk about climate action and climate change and environmental protection and conservation, I have seen so many young people here in Jamaica actively engaging in activities that actually contribute to Jamaica's sustainable development. And I love that. So the role that youth plays here in Jamaica is pertinent. And so I urge persons to continue to give youth the opportunity to sit at the table and not only sit at the table, but actually effect change. Right. They have the ideas, they have the will and the ability to push through and get the job done. Not because they are young people means we have to fight them down sometimes.
Yes.
Trust me, I promise you, they are coming with a force. I'm telling you, I met with a student the other day and he really opened my eyes on some things. And I'm telling you, when he comes out of that high school space and is actually able to engage with a wider audience, he is going to effect change. And so that is what we need for our young people to actually effectively contribute to Jamaica right now.
Absolutely brilliant. We have sense. We have sense. Gary, we have sense. We can talk about the thing that we research. We know the stuff. We have sense. And if it is that, as our friend oftentimes say, if it is that we're not included in the solution, then we become the problem.
Then we become the problem.
And that's it. That's it word for word, people. That's it word for word right there. So I'm sure that's one of the things that we can also implore the government and policymakers and, just the various organizations out there who are trying to just do something like that to really take into their account young people and or input in that regard. Now, I want for you both to kind of look at this question, to answer this question for me. I would want Noel to go first and then Gabriel after. Could you discuss the importance of just the integration of the environmental aspect, education in our curriculum, I'd say, because I feel as though that's one of the things that we ought to also look at, because there's not so much a whole stress on the SDGs and how it's been put in that of the curriculum basis kind of thing, aside from just a club. Do you think we need to learn about it now in university?
And high schools.
And high school. So I want to answer that question. I know it's a big one, but Advocate Noel, go right ahead.
All right, thank you. Well, I would say environmental science in some aspects in AP. So I would say it's somewhat in our curriculum, but the issue that I am having is the importance that we place on them. So, for example, just as how we have compulsory subjects like the maths and the English, we need to prioritize environmental science or environmental studies just the same, because again, the environment, climate change, and every related topic is one of the most important things that we're faced with now. And therefore, we need to take the necessary actions to prioritize the education on these necessary issues, and also action as well to mitigate the effects of these issues as well. So I would definitely want for us to start from the primary level, because, I guess, for example, when I do some projects with children specifically, and you talk about these issues, you allow them to plant the necessary trees, you allow them to pick up the plastic bottles and all that. They're excited to do it, They're really excited to do it. So if we socialize them to realize that you are important in this fight, you can play a role in changing the world, then they would grow up and basically become persons in society that know that they have a role to play and not dependent on government to do everything. So definitely I would encourage for the government to place more emphasis on environmental science from the secondary level coming up to the tertiary level. I've spoken to many persons about UN and even at Chancellor Hall, looking to invite most of them to UN next year. Many persons do not know about the SDGs and the importance that they play in creating a better world. So there's definitely a lack of importance placed on sustainable development. And I say it every day. I can say it publicly as well. I feel like the government needs to do more in regards to sustainable development and also champion the SDGs. Because, for example, I look on like the Riverton Dome as a big example, coming into Kingston and the smell and knowing the effects of the different chemicals that are emitting in our environment and the respiratory illnesses that persons who reside in that area face on a daily basis, and the many different environmental consequences that we face because of that issue. And I said to myself that we need to become more innovative when it comes to sustainable development. I've watched many documentaries and they use like plastic bottles or plastic overall to create like blocks and other things that we use on a daily basis, basically reducing the amount of waste that we have that we have on our land and affecting the environment. So yeah, most definitely I support this, placing more emphasis on environmental science and the SDGs.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Noel. No joke. We talk up the thing them, we talk up the thing them. Nobody afraid to talk up the thing them, because listen, it's through our us talking up, the government can for sure do better, and I'm sure they're listening to us. So hello, the honorable ministers who are listening to us for sure. Noel just said that a while ago. Go ahead, Gabriel.
I would say I've spent time in the environmental science field. I did 2 units of CAPE for environmental science, right? I think what we learn about oftentimes is the environment itself and not so much on the effect that we play and what we can do. I think that's the challenge, right? And so when we look at sustainable development, look at some of the sustainable development goals, I say and Noel said it earlier, we are less sensitized on what it is that the sustainable development goals are. And I truly believe that is the challenge. In my studies, I've never looked at the 17 sustainable development goals. I've never looked at the 2030 agenda. And I believe that is the issue. When you come into these spaces, you hear about the 2030 agenda, and you hear about the sustainable development goals. When I was doing a training earlier this year, students and teachers alike were not able to effectively and appropriately express to me what it is that the sustainable development goals are. And I believe that is a challenge. And one of the things about the sustainable development goals is that we try, or we aim to what the sustainable development goals really are the goals that ensure that we're meeting the needs of our current citizens without destroying or disenabling the future generation. And that takes into account education, right? And so it is important that we educate our people so that our future generations can carry it on. The term sustainable simply puts it all into perspective. Yes. Sustainable, you're preserving it for future generations. And so therefore, I'm saying we need to put it into our curriculum, into our institutions, into our schools, what the sustainable development goals are, because persons are not aware. And how can persons not be aware and are expected to create change? When we do things like pick up garbage, and we do all of these projects and initiatives, we understand one aspect. We understand the face of what is going on, but we do not understand the background behind doing what we are doing. And that is the issue, right? So of course, I am all for the putting it into the curriculum. I'm all for ensuring that students are educated, but not only our students, our adults. I remember a few years ago when we first launched our 2030 agenda, there's a booklet. I think everybody saw that booklet, that green booklet with the 2030 agenda. And I believe there was an advertisement about it, more publication of what the 2030 agenda says, and more educating our people more on what it is that the sustainable development goals are. Because without that education and without that knowledge, we do everything without a basis, right? We're doing these things thinking that we're helping, and the truth of it is we're only doing the bare minimum, and as such we will not be able to achieve the 2030 agenda. And guess what? It's 2024. So we have very little time to actually accomplish the goals that have been set out for us. Climate change is at a rapid pace right now, right? And a lot of the sustainable development goals have not even reached 50% in Jamaica or across the world in a lot of countries of where they need to be. And so I think part of that is educating our people and getting our persons up to par with what is actually taking place.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Gabriel. That was a lot. That was a lot. Oh my God, that was so much to the point where I feel like I want a part 2 Rose.
You might have
I don't even a lot, but really informative. It's educational. I like the passion. I like just everything, the rhythm. And for me, I feel like I would have learned so much today because I'm not so much au fait with the whole environmental science area. I'm not so much a science like that student. I sound like a businessman, rich businessman, don't it? I know, that's me. But for sure, just the very same as science people are out there, business people need to know about these things too, and persons, them of the money for sure, and those persons who are making these strides and contributing to that of initiatives and projects that are not so much doing so much benefit to us, are contributing to our detriment as a society. And for that, I really want to thank you so much, Gabriel and Noel, for sharing with us today. And believe me, it was very much your time and your service today, and your conversation. The conversation was invaluable, and we for sure will treasure this forever. Thank you so much for being here with us. Now, people, we're out of time. It's 12:59. Oh my God, we would have spoken so much. And we didn't get a chance to pick up the mothers. Them happy Mother's Day tomorrow.
And the teachers,
mommies.
them.
And the teachers. Oh my God, pick up all the teachers. Pick up all the mothers, and also pick up to all the persons who are listening to us today. Whether you're listening to us on the 90.3, 90.5, 90.7, and 90.9 FM band, Digiplay or Flow, we're glad to have you here today. We want to thank so much our studio engineer, that is David McNeish, and to our executive producer, that is Madame Empress Golden, and to our producer, Damien Scarlett, and Nicholas Williamson. And Damien Rose.
Okay.
Today, and to our hosts today, for sure, Damien Rose and Nicholas Williamson, and to everybody who would have taken the time to listen. Who else we have missed out? We missed nobody else? Nobody else. The guest. Oh, and to the, oh my God.
Dane Brooks.
To the guest, Dane Brooks, who did such a great job today in letting us understand what happened. And also Gabrielle Bryan and Noel Lewin, who would have came today and gave valuable insights into the whole conversation of environmental preservation and conservation, which is something that we really need to look at. So I feel like we're all educated today. It's 1 o'clock. So until next time, people, see you next week. Talk Up Yout, Mr. V.
Talk Up Yout.
Later, bye-bye.
Let me tell you this, man, I got good days, bad days. You know, say you went up. Me would have trade house and car and shed up. Just to get 1 more minute with my brother. So you get up, spend time together. Cherish every second of the day when you're there.
Gotta tell you, that you're the close one yesterday. You put an angel over me.
The simple things are your blessings. Simple things, them are your blessings, your blessings. Simple things are your blessing. And you don't notice your blessings. The simple things are your blessings. Simple things, them are your blessing, your blessing. Simple things, them are your blessing. You better notice your blessings. We've got
yeah, man, you don't know. This is Naomi Cowan representing for Talk Up Yout. This on every Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Yout. Me say Talk Up Yout. Yeah, you have to stand for your rights now. Now is the time.
Big sale now on at Cameron Industries. Up to 50% off quarter and 5/8-inch furniture ply and other items. Now available. Termite resistant furniture ply, granite, quartz, and solid surface countertops. You don't want to miss these amazing deals. Visit us at